We are excited to be back for season 3 of Excellence in Everything Live. I'm Lanita Hostin, your podcast host, and if you have not yet met me, I have the privilege of traveling the country and equipping organizational leaders and executives to increase their influence and impact by way of their communication skills. And Excellence in Everything Live is my weekly podcast to give you practical tools to increase your influence and impact wherever you are. So if you're watching today's episode, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed. Or if you like the episode, you can go ahead and click that thumbs up and share it with someone who you think could benefit from today's content. We're going to talk about 3 ways to start your presentation strong so you do not have to win back the attention of an audience. You can retain it. We'll be right back right after the intro. So, 3 ways you can start your presentation strong so that you can retain the attention of your audience. And I want to start by saying this: strong meaning they are already ready to receive you when you begin speaking. Strong meaning you don't have to manipulate the environment to get their attention and retain it. So, a lot of that has to do with how you groom the environment to receive you. So, we're actually going to talk about the pre-production of your speaking. But before we do that, I wanted to share with you that I have an upcoming public speaking class called Stage Power Intensive. And this is for organizational leaders and executives who have, how do I say this? They have a schedule of high visibility events, and they're often asked to piece together remarks. They're often asked to generate awareness about the work that they're doing. Not necessarily thrilled about doing that. It's also not a strong suit of theirs. Typically, these individuals would delegate this task if they had a support person available. But you're ready to learn how to command a room and to do it with power. I always say, like, a stage is any place you have a platform to express your thoughts and or ideas. A stage can be a doctor's appointment, an IEP meeting for your children. It can be an appointment with your investment broker. It could be during a pitch competition. That's a stage. A stage is the expression of your performance during your annual review process. So a stage does not equal a large audience where people are solely looking at you as a subject matter expert. A stage is where you have the privilege to use your voice. And I'm really passionate about when you do have that opportunity that you do it well. You do it with all your might. And so I invite you, if you're interested in Stage Power Intensive, registration is open at stagepowerintensive.com. Early bird rates are through March 27th. And we have written what we call a sponsorship letter if you'd like your employer to cover the cost of your attendance, because this is professional development. We've written a sponsorship letter and created an informational flyer on the website that you can download at stagepowerintensive.com. Last year, we did have attendees who employers sponsored their participation, so they didn't have to come out of pocket, and they had a great time. So next week, we'll share with you some of their testimonials for sure. All right, so let's jump into today's content. The goal is brevity. The goal is to be brief in what we share. And I'm going to briefly give you 3 ways to start your presentation strong. The first one, we got to get in the habit of doing research for where we're going. So taking time to what we call extract the details of the environment that we'll be in, the physical environment, or if it's virtual, the virtual environment. Then the demographics of those who will be in the room, the expectations of the person who's inviting you in, what's the theme, what's the purpose. We got to get all those details. Is when we have those elements, then we can create the best content to reach them. Then we're already speaking the language of those in the audience, knowing their challenges and successes and wins, speaking to those easily a great way to start strong. When people feel like you get them, you see them, you hear them, you feel them, you get where they are and what they're maybe challenged with, they are more receptive. The best connection you can make is an emotional connection with your audience. It is through that place that they will give you, you won't have to ask, they will give you their ears and eyes. So when you see and hear people, that's going to create that sense of like mutual understanding. That requires you to do your research by extracting those details from whomever is inviting you into that space. This could be a workplace space. This could be an empowerment space. This could be an organizational membership based space. But get the details about your environment. That's one. Here's two. I want you to plan how you're going to begin. Sometimes I hear people say, you know what? I'm going to just go off of like whatever comes out of me. I'm going to start with that. I challenge you at the bare minimum, if you don't want to memorize the totality of your content, memorize your introduction and thoroughly think through how you're going to connect. Are you adding music? Are you going to get the audience to stand up and do a soul tray line? Are you going to play a video highlighting them, their achievements, what you heard about them? Are you going to play music and then have them organically dance? Last week, a friend of mine had confetti popping with music playing. What kind of music are you going to play? So memorize and create the structure of your start. Again, this is about retention. We want to retain the attention. We don't want to win it back or earn it. We want to retain it at the start. So how can you start your presentation? How can you create the beginning of the environment so people want to continue listening? I think in the adult learning space realm, I think sometimes we're too serious. Every single person has a child inside of them. There's this childlikeness, whether we like to acknowledge it or not. And yes, there are places where this childlikeness energy should be released and places where it should not. But there's a room for that childlike energy to show up in some facet. How can you incorporate that so that the environment is not stale just because you're speaking to adults? And this is great for those who are in technical, science-based, very stat-driven industries. How can you bring light into the environment that you're in? And if it's contrary to the culture that you're speaking in, let's say the culture is very structured, very traditional, how can you do what I'm asking you to do and still, I'd say, be appropriate in that environment? Can you start with comedic relief? Can you start with a GIF or a meme that people can relate to? Can you refer to a movie or highlight a recent award show or like bring that comedic relief to the space that you are in? When we have the microphone, that's the time to take up space in the environment that we're in. It isn't the time to shrink, to follow what others have done. Taking up space meaning you have ownership in how you're communicating. And as a result of that, people are drawn, changed, empowered, encouraged. That's what we mean by taking up space. And you have the ability to do that. All right, so those were two. Here's the last one. I want us to get in the habit of having concrete takeaways. What, as a result of listening to you for 10, 15 minutes, an hour, what are those concrete things that a listener would, I know you're going to learn this. What are those things? And saying them in the beginning. I got 10 minutes with you guys today. When I finish in these 10 minutes, you will know how to. You will understand how to. Saying that. I want us to get in the habit of bringing not just integrity back in public speaking, but intentionality. So it doesn't always feel like hoorahs and encouragement. There's a tangible, a concrete, like thing that we're aiming for. When we get those three things right, we are prepared to have a strong presentation. When we make sure that we do our research, when we make sure that we plan at least our introduction, so we're like intentional in that environment. And when we have a concrete outcome that we're going to share and we verbalize that in the beginning to hook them into stay, connected and in the midst, we're ready to start strong. We are ready to start strong. This season of Excellence in Everything Live is about bite-sized nuggets to help you grow your organizational impact and influence. And the goal is that we do that in 15 minutes or less. If you enjoyed listening to this episode and you know someone who's a communicator and looking to improve their communication skills in the workplace, please share this episode with them and drop any learning takeaways that you might have. I'll see you next week, Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll either release an episode or we might be highlighting a special guest. See you soon.